I've never met someone named Aspen.
Thank you, thank you.
Wait, is that from a family name? Is that from anything in particular? The
No,
city?
I actually came up with it.
Really?
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
so it's a stage name.
Yeah, it's my stage
You
name.
don't want to say your birth name?
It's actually Demetrius, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And why Aspen?
I just actually like was going down a list of names that I thought sounded cool, and I was like, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
It matched like the vibe of the music and everything that I was going for, so.
And how long have you been making music?
I've been making music for about 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
about
what
10
age are you right now?
Huh. I'm 27 right now.
Oh, okay. Since like late high school.
Yeah, late high
That's
school.
when a lot of people start. That's
Yep.
when I started high school.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the years where you kind of suck, but you need to.
Right.
And I mean, I still feel like I suck, but it's not as bad anymore. I'm accepting of some of the things I make up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what got you into making music? Were you a musical child?
It was actually random. Like I had some cousins, they like did music a little bit, so they just asked me to like be on one of their tracks. So I wrote like a rap, and it was terrible, to be honest. And it was fun though. So like I kept doing it and eventually going to studios. So it was fun to venture out into.
Yeah. And this is in Chicago?
Yes.
Cool. What parts of Chicago? What neighborhoods?
It's actually like the suburbs. So like Waukegan area is where
Okay.
I started off.
And is that where you're located still?
Gurney.
Oh, you're way up north.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll be going up there soon. Lake Forest area.
Okay, cool.
So that's not far from you, right?
No, not at all. About 20 minutes.
Cool. And so do you perform a lot in Chicagoland area?
Yes, I did.
Cool. And have you been producing your own stuff, or just mostly doing your own music and having other producers come in?
So I have like some producers that I've been working with as of lately, like a set group of producers that I work with.
Okay.
And so they normally make like my instrumentals and everything. Yeah.
And you just sing, rap? What do you do over it?
Like it's like a rap, but I also do like singing melodies over it as well.
Okay.
But like my main base is like rapping.
Okay.
Like
I always wonder that, this might sound ignorant, but I always wonder that fine line between like melody and singing to rap and spoken word.
Okay.
And do you know when it switches? Is it fluid?
I would say it's fluid. It's a very baseline. Like when I first started, I would say it was more like gritty rap, and now like I'm like very like happy like type of rap, like more like indie style. I would say now. So
What do you mean happy? Like
happy, cause like I would say like when I first started, like I was rapping more like gritty, so more like street style, cause I was younger, so that was like the influence. As I grew older, like I didn't have those same influence anymore. So like I changed like the things that I was talking about in my songs and stuff like that. So more of a feel good vibe, more happy vibe. Yeah.
was this from a place of, like, did you feel more angst and sadness as a teenager in 20s, and then you started to realize, like, get a new perspective on life?
I think it was more so what I was hearing on the radio. So like trying to mimic that style originally. And then like over the years, I discovered myself and found like the things that I actually like to speak about. Yeah.
Do you, I always wonder that about artists that come from a place of, in a good way, like mocking what they hear, like replicating it, because they realize that there might be financial stability there, or validity in the masses, like choosing what works. Did you find yourself like trapped in that circle? Like you couldn't, you didn't really want to do it, but you saw like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta at least like live.
Definitely. I would say that was like the main thing, was trying to like make it in there. So I felt like I had to go the mainstream route. But then as like time progressed, I realized that I could make my sound more so the mainstream thing if I kept pushing, you know?
And what year, like how old were you when that started to flip?
I would say about 22, 23, around then. It's
young
like,
enough.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never personally, as a musician, I play guitar and bass in a couple bands, and I've been playing for 18 years now. And I've never found myself at all wanting to like fit into that world of doing what the mainstream says or what deems like financial stability. Yeah. And I don't get it. Like, it doesn't click in my head. I always wanted to just do it. It seemed like a place to express myself. I don't want to make money off music. That's probably why it works for me to not like fall into that trap. Whereas I do other things to make, to have financial stability. But I don't do it with music, and I kind of like that. I don't
Yeah,
like when someone's like, "Hey, you got to dress like this," or
Yeah.
"Your song should be a little bit short." I'm like, I just want it to be what I want it to be, and I find peace in that. But it's like a hobby to me. Music, I take it seriously, but it's like a hobby. Did it always feel like a career path to you, or did it seem like a hobby and then it turned into something more?
I would say when I first started, strictly for the fun of doing it, and I found it fun. I would say maybe like a year or two in, it became more so of like trying to make it, and it kind of became more of like a career thing, where I would say like those couple of years was like more stressful because you were worrying about numbers and everything that comes with that. And I would say like as of more so recently, I'm doing it because I love to do it. Like you said, like the hobby of it. Not really caring about the mainstream success or anything that comes with it, but more so just my love for doing it and expressing myself through it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And have you done how many like records or mixtapes have you put out?
So actually a lot.
A
and
lot?
then the thing about it is like I went through a couple like name changes. I was actually like in a group too. Like
Oh,
so
okay.
like we were actually like touring and doing things like that. So that was like an entirely different era. Yeah.
Touring like nationally?
Yes.
Nice. Where are some places you've been?
We did Atlanta, we did New York, we did we played, I don't know if you know the Rave in Milwaukee.
Oh,
We
yeah.
played there a lot. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Wow. So how old were you when you started touring?
That was about like 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And this is like a rock band or a hip hop group?
It was like hip hop R&B. So there
R&B,
was
okay.
like two singers, and then I was like the rapper of the group.
Oh, okay. And do you play any instruments or just sing?
No, I don't. I tried
Just
to pick
voice.
up drums like as a child, could never get it. Yeah.
So just singing drew you to being a performer.
Yes.
And as a singer performer, they're two different things. Which one came more naturally, like performing and putting on, a live performance, being like very fluent and very, what's the right word, like very eccentric on stage? Because like a solo performer, when you have a name, you can't just go up there and like grab the mic and just sing. People want to be entertained. You almost have to be a form of like a dancer, acrobatic, like just you got to be really vibrant, right? So did you have like a charismatic personality, or is that something that comes out when you perform and you kind of keep it in?
I would say that I'm like very shy. And then once I get on that stage, like a whole different personality comes out. Like I'm like a burst of energy on that stage. And
Would your friends agree?
yeah,
So
they would agree.
where does that come from? Why I've heard that. I asked that question kind of knowing that answer because I've heard that so many times, and I kind of have it, but I notice a lot of people are very meek, very calm, collected, and they get on stage and they just like a flip of a switch,
Yeah, I think it comes from like the vision of like what I have of myself in my head. And like sometimes I'm like humbled to show it. And then like once I get on that stage, like I'm there, I'm in the game. And so like I express it. And it's kind of weird. It's like a flip. It just comes on. Yeah.
Interesting. And now that you've done it so many times, are you able to do it in other parts, other facets of your life? That switch has happened at like a party,
Yes.
or another show. Maybe you're seeing some perform. Does it become more natural to you?
Yeah. I think it's way more natural now. Like just going out, like now it's like a switch, like I said. Like I could go into a room and turn it on and turn it off. Like leave here and be like the most quietest, chill person, and then go on stage and I'm like full of energy. So
Okay. And you mentioned before the podcast that not only do you sing and perform, but you do modeling and some other things. Are those a byproduct of performing and getting comfortable with people, making connections and realizing like, oh, I could do something with this? I've noticed in the music industry, fashion and modeling are starting to blend and
Yes.
become one with, especially fashion. And fashion's kind of the bridge with music to modeling, So is modeling a byproduct of playing music?
yes, it is. Like I actually got into modeling from doing like photo shoots for like my music. Like so I ended up getting like a love for that. And I always been into like fashion and different designers and things like that. So I started doing photo shoots, fell in love with it, and then I ended up getting like connects to like fashion photographers and stuff like that. So I started taking photos with them and then sending them off to agencies and going that whole route to get into different agencies and stuff. So, and I actually stopped doing music for about a year and a half to solely be into modeling.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. How old were you when you started doing modeling?
That was maybe about 24, 25 that I like stopped completely.
Stop modeling or stop doing music?
Stopped doing music
Right.
too.
Because that's like the prime age for modeling.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to model past like 28. So
Yeah.
I've been told by
Yeah.
models, which is bizarre. It might be different for men. That's been female models. No, there's the dog. Interesting. So, but like why modeling? Like modeling and music.
Mm-hmm.
Although those worlds kind of bleed because you get a lot of exposure from people looking at you and doing photography for your bands, their promos. So you get used to it. Like I've had a lot of photos taken of me as well, but it's a different art form. It's a different job. It's a different headspace. It's even like what it means to society. It's very different.
Yes.
So why modeling?
I think like I was saying like prior, like I do art too. So I look at like music and modeling as like art forms, like ways to express yourself. Like I like to do like the funky poses and the different unique like clothing styles, the stuff that like you typically wouldn't wear on your everyday wear. But like when you do those photo shoots, you can put on the oversized sweater that might not look right on your casual day, you know?
I have a lot of model-esque clothes that I probably wear in like what you just in situations I shouldn't. I have this sweater, I swear to God, I could probably sell it for a lot of money now. I found it at the thrift store on the north side when I was 18. It's an 8XL sweater.
Wow.
I'm going to say that again, 8X's
Wow.
L. It's huge. And it now looks like something people would wear that like Kanye West came up with.
Yeah.
But I got it 14 years ago when it was not cool. And I would always wear it and everyone would always make fun of me. And I would wear it all the time. I would wear it to college. Oh my God, I'd wear it to parties. Like I would do it on purpose just to like upset people. But anyway, it made me realize like how many pairs of or different combinations of clothes I have that fit certain situations much better than others. But I tend to still wear them out of context of that situation. Sometimes because I realize that those situations are contrived and it's a construct.
Yes.
And that's like the more philosophical reason why. But then there's also a humorous part of me where I just like I want people to like get mad or upset. And I think it's funny that people do when you wear something out of a certain context of a situation. I don't know, it's like a dark humor. But so when you model, you wear certain clothes for that. You don't wear them out and about. You don't dress like that. Like right now, you're just wearing like a light eggshell pink shirt and hat, right?
Yep.
Right.
I got like these funky flower pants on, but
it's also hot. It's really hard to wear certain fashionable clothes when it's hot. Personally, I keep it very light, but that's why I like the winter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can just get so much out of it fashion-wise.
I agree.
Layers on layers, and I mean, there's some beach wear you can rock pretty, that's cool, but it's just not the same. You can't combine as much.
No, not as many layers. You can't.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to model? Like, what do you like to model? Anything in particular? Any type of clothes in particular?
I would say I'm very like anything. Like I could go any style. Like I might do like a dressy type look, but then I could also go into like a punk rock type look. It's very like no layers with the modeling. But I actually like that because like I feel like I said, I could express myself in different ways. Like some days I might feel more dressy and want to do like the suit with the glasses look, clean cut. And then other days I might want to do like ripped jeans and like the boots to go with it or something, you know?
Yeah. So mostly fashion.
Yes.
Not anything sexual or anything like
No.
that. I mean, what is that? It's like a common, mistake to think that like modeling is like something more sexual. But it isn't really. I mean, I find myself trapped on the Instagram ads of clothes and shorts, and it's just like everyday guy is just wearing like a sweater. Yeah. It's like nothing crazy. Levi or whatever company, just like wearing shirts or pants, and they're models. Like it's not a woman on a beach in underwear or something, which is what we think of. Or a lot of men do, at least, I would say. I can't speak for women. But even that, like, I know that one's tricky because they are showing way more of their body, but it is just an art form. I realize, like, you're not just taking one photo.
Right.
You're taking, like, hundreds, and it's hours of posing, and the photographer has to find the right one, the right lighting, make sure you didn't blink. The less editing they have to do, the more efficient, a lot more money they could save, the company. Like, there's so many factors.
Right.
What is your typical, when you go in, do you have an agent? Do you do it on your own?
Yes. So I do have an agent, and they normally find clients to work with.
Okay.
So that's normally how it works. So if there's a clothing brand, they might reach out and be like, oh, we have a model for you. And if they like me, then they'll reach back out and be like, okay, cool. We can set this up with this photographer, and you just go into the photo shoot, and they have like these sets of clothes that they might want you to wear for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you like that more than music, or which one do you prefer to do?
I prefer music. See, music is like, it's not my first love. Art is actually my first love, but music is like the thing that I fell in love with the most.
Music is like the foundation of art.
Yeah.
I feel like, all right, some people paint or draw or write or practice something, sometimes they do it to music.
Yeah.
When they cook. A lot of forms of art are done to music.
That's me.
But most other forms of art can't be done to anything else. You can't paint while you write.
Right.
Or write a poem or cook while you paint. Or you try, it's probably hard. You can't watch a movie while you're doing other things. Like, there's certain time-based sonic media of, like, music can be this underlining foundation to so many other forms of expression. Even conversations, at a party, again, cooking, crocheting things, modeling. I mean, how often is there music in the background when you're doing a photo shoot?
All the time.
See, I didn't even know that, but it was a guess. I was like, there probably is. That's why I think it's where a lot of artists always still gravitate back to music. Because so many artists do music and then other things. It's like where they start, and in playing music, you meet a lot of artists. I think they open up other doors to you. You meet so many people. Like, playing music, I've met so many different types of artists that maybe they're graphic design and they make the posters for the shows, but they're still the musician, or they got really into recording. Like, this is my situation. Music got me into recording because I wanted to figure out how you capture it and how people listen to it on the other side through a speaker. How it goes in all messed up and comes out all mixed and sounding great. Yeah. I like that the art of that, but it still stems from music.
Yeah.
In your experience, do you think that, like, music is kind of the foundation for so many artists?
I do agree with you.
Right?
Like, even when I paint, like you said, like, I have to turn on music and, like, I got to get it, like, just right, have the right album plan. If the music isn't right, like, my mind isn't there for it. Yeah.
Right. Speaking of music, have you listened to the new Kendrick Lamar record?
Loved it.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
I was nervous. I shouldn't have been, but I was, because whenever a prolific artist takes 5 years, you're like, oh no, like, this is gonna be really good or, like, kind of miss the mark.
Let down.
It did not let down.
No.
It's so good.
Yeah, it
I've
is.
listened to it too many times. I think I know it by heart now. I think I've listened to it like 30 times, like 2 times a day for the last few weeks. And it's so good. I don't know. He's great.
Yeah, he is.
I like it. I've been asking people when I see him, like, do you listen to it? What do you think? Most people say they love it.
Yeah.
Any review I've read has been good. Anybody I trust with music has liked it. But yeah, I was nervous at first.
Yeah.
It definitely takes a couple listens because it goes to a lot of places.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It does.
Right. Do you, are there any modern day musicians now that you kind of relate to, or they're big influences on you?
So, big influences. I would say, like, my top would be, like, a Childish Gambino, if that counts.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah. I like,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you watch the new season of Atlanta?
definitely did. Well, I'm not all the way through. Like,
Yeah.
I watched, like, the first 3 episodes,
Yeah.
so I still got to catch up.
Right.
But it's, like, definitely an interesting turn. I feel like it's different than the last season. So
They've all been so different.
Yeah.
I'm on, I think I'm on episode 4.
Yeah.
And then I don't have Hulu anymore, so I gotta get Hulu again so I can finish it. I like it a lot. I need to finish it.
Yeah.
Between comedy, writing, acting, and music, he is just,
Yeah.
what do they call that? Wanderlust or Wanderlist? Wonderkin.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderkin. That's the word. Someone who's, like, really prolific at a young age. Yeah, he's wild. Any other musicians?
Other musicians. I'm a big fan of like Kid Cudi. I know he's a little,
Mm-hmm.
older. I would say new generation. I'm trying to think of somebody from the new generation. I don't know. Do you know Toby Lou?
No.
Yeah, he's a really good artist. He's from Chicago, but
Okay.
very creative.
Toby
artist.
Lou?
Toby Lou.
Got it.
Yeah.
And do you spend a lot of time doing, like when you make music, are you doing it in studios where you live or do you go to the city?
So I actually, I used to travel out to the city. I did a lot of my recording at like Soundscape. I also used to record with one of my friends from like back home that I was actually in the group with. But as of recently, I go to a studio in Palatine.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
way up north.
Yeah.
Got it. Do you like that area? Do you ever want to move to the city to try to grow your music scene?
I do. I really liked it, the Evanston area. I don't
Do
know,
you?
just something about it. I like, yeah.
You like all those snobby people? I just like throwing jabs. It's Northwestern. What do you want from me? You get a university near Lake Michigan. Something's,
Yeah.
it's going to attract certain people.
Definitely.
It's a nice area, though.
Yeah.
Really. Those houses are so amazing.
They're beautiful. Like,
They're unreal. I'm just like, imagine trick-or-treating around here.
right.
When I was a kid, my parents would always take us to like the nicer neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Or neighborhoods where the houses aren't so far from each other and you have to go upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How about you? Did you trick-or-treat a lot?
Yeah, I did.
Did you ever go to the nicer areas?
Yeah, we did all the
It's
time.
like everyone does that. I wonder what it's like to live in those areas knowing that you can tell the difference in the types of kids that come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
I wonder like if they like that or if they find it weird.
Yeah.
I always wonder.
I feel like some people would like it because they're like, oh, all the kids are coming here.
Yeah.
But then I feel like you would have those certain types that's like, oh, no, stay where you're at.
Certain times we know exactly what you're trying to say. The people we don't want to associate with. Yeah, what are they doing here?
Right.
Don't they have their own neighborhood? I don't understand.
Stay out.
Tom, they're here again.
Definitely.
So you paint as well.
Yes.
What kind of paintings? Oil-based, watercolor?
It's mixed media. So
Okay.
I do a lot of like acrylics, oil base, sometimes like micro pen I use. Like I would do like might have like a magazine or a newspaper cut up and like paste them onto the painting and then paint over that to create like its own like unique styles.
Yeah.
So yeah, mixed media.
Wow, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you ever do anything with like collage with it in it?
Yes.
Nice.
All the time.
Really? What? So, music, modeling, this mixed media painting. When did you start getting into mixed media work?
I would say like I always was like into like drawing as a kid, like very early on, maybe like 5 or 6.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah. So, but I would say that it turned into more serious maybe around like 14, 15 where,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So you've been an artist through and through since you can remember.
Yeah.
Do you do any poetry?
I do.
I had a
do.
feeling.
Yeah.
Anybody who does hip hop does poetry.
Yeah.
Right? They almost are one of the same.
Yeah.
I had a really interesting conversation with an elderly man once who's really intelligent guy. He was in education for like 40 years. And he asked me, but no experience with hip hop or rap or R&B or anything. And he was like, is it music or is it just poetry? And I was like, I mean, so it's poetry in the sense of lyrics and rhyme scheme and even its deliverance, but it's almost like mixed media. It's you're blending two things because once you put melody and rhythm to something, that's what music is.
I agree.
Like you can't. That's how you create music: melody and rhythm. One of them or both. And so once you do that, it turns it into music because this usually comes from a place of an older like white perspective. They hear about hip hop and rap and they're thinking of rock and roll of the 60s and 70s. And that's their idea of music, even though they don't realize that where that came from was a bunch of black American blues players. The irony of their statements. But it's just like, well, all they're doing is taking words, putting melody and rhythm behind it, and we call it music. We call it a song. But that structure is still coming from a place of words, which is a place of poetry, which is a place of, again, R&B and rhythm and blues and blues and jazz before that in the 50s and 40s and 30s, which was primarily black America writing these songs. And even those came from older songs that were spoken word. Like, so what do we do? Like, it's almost like chicken or the egg.
Right.
Cat chasing its tail.
Which
it's
one
like,
came?
it's just a different genre, but it's still, because it's like, well, if it's just, is it poetry or music? Well, then what is classical music? There's no words.
Yeah.
But yet we still call it music, but we just put classical music because it's older.
True.
Because there's 80 strings playing at the same time, but it's just melody and rhythm. There are no words. In fact, in that style, you would just speak with the melody.
Yes.
Like that's the movements were the conversations and the words and the stories. That's what evoked emotion. Now we combine it with, we simplify it in the sense that we break down the patterns. We don't have long form. You know, most hip hop songs are quite short, but the words, the heaviness of the words, the storytelling is what picks up all of that information. And I think it might just be time and place. Like some people just aren't around it, not exposed to it. Like I wasn't exposed to it for a long time. And then when I got exposed to it, I was like, oh, this is great. I just didn't know. Like if you grow up in a bubble where you don't listen to
a certain type of music.
Yeah, it's like as long as you're open to it or at least willing to admit it exists and it's important and it has a cultural impact, that's okay. It might not be your cup of tea, you know?
Right.
Like I'm sure there's certain genres you're not into. Let me try to guess. Modern country?
Actually, like I actually listened to like a couple songs like here and there, like couple songs.
But not much.
Not much.
Right.
Not much.
It's modern country's difficult.
Yeah.
Old country, like really old country, like country western and old time music, bluegrass. It's actually really interesting and comes from a really cool spot in American history and such talented musicians. Like these people are all classically trained. They've been playing music their whole life. They're like masters of their instrument.
Yeah.
But because it has like a twang to it, people just go like, oh, that old time like lame country music. No, like these people are really good.
No, they are.
They're shredding on the fiddle. They're playing upright. They're playing fretless instruments, and these people are just killing it out there. They're really good musicians. Some of the best musicians I've worked with have been the old time folk bluegrass people. Yeah. And then some of the best like lyricists I've ever worked with have been like people who do like hip hop and poetry. Yeah. And I'm like, man, there's good stuff everywhere. I don't know why we deem things not good or bad based. And honestly, it's as simple as based on like race and sex. Yeah. That's really what it is.
And bias. I feel like some people like, for instance, like I listen to a lot of hip hop, but it would be false to say like, oh, it isn't good country music out there, you know, like, and I do love like rock and pop as well. Like I would say like pop, I kind of fell off as of recently. I don't have like my main artist, but probably like 5 years ago, that was all I would listen to. Probably more than like hip hop, you know. So,
what kind of pop? Like anybody in particular?
It was like the mainstream,
the
stuff.
main top bill or top 40.
Yep.
See, I can't get into the top 40 stuff. It's too
poppy.
It's not even that it's too poppy. It's literally so like it can be so corny sometimes. Yeah. Like just so uneventful, so emotionless. So predictable. I can predict everything. I'm listening. I'm like, they're going to say this next. I didn't go here. They're going to down to the third. Rise up. I could predict the chord progressions, the timing, the breakdown, the production effects. I'm like, maybe I'm a bad person for this because I think I just know a lot about those things. Right. And when I get annoyed with something, I'll get hyper critical. I'll get into the technical mode where I like literally break it apart instead of the type of care and respect I'll give other genres where I don't do that and I just listen to it as a music lover. So it is a problem I have that I should probably stop being so biased. But sometimes
it's hard.
It's just so sterile and generic and shiny sounding, and I'm just like, and I also, again, being a little bit of a rebel, I get mad that that's what everyone deems so popular, and then those bands and pop stars hoard, to be honest, the money in the music industry. Yeah. It's the same problem with all capitalism in all industries, but the music one, you got those top 40, top 100 musicians, artists, and they hoard all the money. Yeah. You know, no offense, Kendrick Lamar, but my friends had a hard time finding tickets for your concert at the United Center, and they had to pay like $200 to go see you, and it's not even like up close. Yeah. $200 to go see someone not up close.
The Donda show that was in Chicago. Okay.
How much was that?
And I want to say like our tickets was like $3 something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I want to say.
Right? But then you go to like Shoebiz or Lincoln Hall and you just see like a really awesome artist that no one knows about, and it's like $15. Right. And they probably get like 6 of that, $5 of that, and they can't get by. And it's not that they're not good and they haven't put their whole life in it. Maybe they studied at a conservatory. They've been playing guitar since they're 5. They're phenomenal. Yep. But they're just not known, so they're not known. And they're just not pushed. They don't, to be honest, they might not have the right look.
Yeah.
They might not, I know this is going to sound dark, but they might not be attractive enough.
Yeah.
Because what is 99% of every person in the top have in common?
Definitely.
They're hot.
Yeah.
Man or
definitely.
woman. Doesn't matter. They're always good looking.
Yeah.
That's just
definitely.
like what society does. It's the same with celebrities.
Yep.
It's the same with athletes.
Yep.
I mean, who are you going to put on the mound, like, in a baseball game? Like, the good-looking pitcher or the bad-looking pitcher? And what if they have the same stats, but one's better looking? You're probably going to put, like,
Yeah.
basketball, like, every sport, like, these things, it's weird.
Ticket sales.
Politicians. God. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
It's frustrating because if you don't have a certain height, a certain body structure, a certain look, but you have the skill that you've been honing in on, you might get overlooked on this simple thing as how you look. There's exceptions. There's a few people, but that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
I agree.
We should all go into it blind. I mean, it's kind of the problem with social media.
Yeah.
Before you can just like hear something, you might not even be able to look at what someone looks like. You know, go back in time like 50 years. You put on a vinyl, you don't know what they actually look like. Maybe there's an album cover of them and they're posing, but like that's it.
Yeah.
Now you can scroll through their life on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
Find out everything.
everything, look into who they are, find out about their family, and I don't know, like it's dark.
Yeah.
It makes me sad sometimes. Social media, how like does it get you stressed out? Does it make you overthink stuff?
It does.
Right?
Like always worried about like I had to take a big step back, like too worried about like the likes and things like that. But now I just post, like don't even really focus on it. But there was a time period where like likes was everything. Like
I know. And now you just post and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I know. That's where I'm at too. It's stressful. It's weird when you see like the correlation of certain times of the day that you post, certain things you post, how you look.
Yeah.
You see more likes, less likes, and you're like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself feeling like self-conscious about how you look because of how much people can see you on Instagram?
Yes, definitely.
Tell me more about that.
I feel like sometimes, like, let's say like a quick trip to like Walmart or something, I'll be like, I don't know if I want to go out because I feel like I don't look my best if I run into somebody from like social media, you know, like.
Yeah. Oh, man. I guess, yeah. And it's really weird for like, I've noticed for younger kids, boys and girls, but really girls.
Yeah.
Like I teach at a university and the kids there, you know, they're between 18, they're not kids anymore. The young adults there are between like 18 and 24, give or take. Yeah. And I could see now like these effects on a lot of the kids, like what it's doing to them and what it must be like in high school. Yeah. These filters, and it's really misleading, distorting their reality. And it's freaky. I don't know what to do because you can't, now that it's there, you can't take it away because that will probably mess them up. And it's like, what do you do about, like, what age do you give a kid a phone? You want them to still fit into society and pop culture because that has its own bad effects when you make someone a recluse and kind of hide them away.
Right.
I don't agree with that. It's my problem I have with being homeschooled.
Yeah.
Because you kind of pull them out of society as it moves forward. They stay stagnant. It's not healthy for kids' social development.
Right.
But what do we do? Like, it's social media. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
And it's only getting better as far as the quality.
Yeah.
More immersive, more efficient, faster.
Yes.
And I don't know what to do. Like, I'm glad I didn't get an Instagram or get on it until I was 24. And I didn't really start using it until I was like 27, 28, like more often. So I'm glad, like around your age is when I started really using it.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm 32, so it hasn't affected me, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I definitely think about it, and like I try to think about it in a business way, like how do I plan out to optimize what I'm doing?
Right.
But I'm like, I'd be lying if I didn't like think about it and like worry, you know?
Yeah.
And like I'm a 32-year-old guy and I'm aware of these things.
Yeah.
Like I could self-analyze and admit to it. Imagine being like a 15-year-old who doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
They don't have that experience, you know. Maybe they haven't smoked weed or done mushrooms yet to be able to understand, or just lived life long enough to understand the dynamics of how to look at things, the optics. Oh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Like, do you have anybody young in your life that is dealing with that?
Nobody that's dealing with that exactly. I do have nephews and a niece, so I'd be like worried about them getting into social media. Like my oldest nephew is 10, so I'm like, he's right on that brink, and he wants a TikTok bad. My brother actually does TikTok. He's like a TikTok celebrity.
Really?
And so like my nephew,
what's his name?
Art by DeMarcus Sean.
Art by DeMarcus Sean. Okay.
He does like skits and stuff like that. But my nephew, like he looks up to him and wants to do those like TikTok, and like we're like, even like my brother's like, no, I want to keep him off of it a little bit before he gets on, because like it's so judgmental.
It's bad.
Yeah.
How old is your brother?
My brother, he's actually 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's his kid?
No, it's not his
That's
kid.
his nephew.
It's his nephew.
Got
it's
it.
my older brother's kid. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I don't know, because we can't be like, do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
It's like, but I mean, I don't know what to do about it, because it's getting younger and younger. I feel like there's 10-year-olds, 8, 9-year-olds. I've seen really little kids with smartphones, and it's concerning.
Yeah.
It's also misleading for like followers, because people can pay for followers. You can just
Definitely.
you can just like go viral and be really young and get a bunch of followers, and it can mislead like what you actually mean to society.
Yes.
Like your actual social weight, your social value. And that's like the weird misleading thing about like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Like for how many people that I've personally been involved with or have worked with, collaborated with, who have been here, because I was so bad at social media, I kind of resisted it. My numbers and portrayal on the internet is very low compared to like how many people I actually interact with and know. It's like almost flipped. Like in reality, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
Like in reality, I actually know way more people than I think.
That's a good thing, actually.
Yeah, it's like, but it's a weird problem to have, because it's the opposite of what most people actually have.
Yeah.
Most people have the opposite. They actually have way more friends and connections on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and know way less people in reality.
Yes.
And I have the flipped version of that, because this whole thing I've been doing here has grown organically through talking and physically being around and working with people.
Yeah.
And the social media is just like a small insight to it, because I was so cryptic. I had to keep it so quiet and silent for so long, because I was hiding it from my family and the neighbor. Like, how do you have an underground like DIY music festival and scene here without getting caught up with like the legalities, like having a secret show? You know, you can't promote it, so you don't promote it. So therefore, it's literally just word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. But now after doing it for so long, and it's okay to promote, it's like social media is catching up with the popularity of it in reality.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
And so many people don't have that. And I don't know. This might be a controversial statement, but I've noticed a trend of women who show a lot of skin having a lot of followers, but not a lot of content. And they're not really doing a lot, but they're which is fine.
Yeah.
But like I see, and if you really want to dig, click on their followers and you see it's mostly guys.
Yes.
So what does that mean? What is that truly authentic? What's going on there?
See. I do understand.
You want to chime in at all? You know what I'm talking about, though.
No, I do know.
I'm not crazy. And I only said it because I've talked to so many women
Yes.
about this. So this doesn't come from a place of a male like bias. It's like, I'm curious because I notice it. And I ask women who are popular on social media, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, what do we do with this? Like, what do you think?
I'd say like kudos to those women, but like I definitely know what you're talking about. I definitely.
Yeah. I don't know what to do about that.
Sometimes as a man, I'd be like, oh, they got it easy. But then I know that they're still like strategizing and doing their way of doing it, you know, like same way like we think of content, they think of it as just like something different. Like they know that like I think that men are quicker to like show love to women quicker. I think sometimes women don't want to give off that wrong perception by showing a guy love, if you understand.
Yeah. It's tricky because I've heard the argument, if you will, from women in that position that it's been as blunt as like, well, forever men have been terrible to us, so like screw it.
Yeah.
If I get to use how I look for more popularity and, you know, financial like winnings or earnings, like then I'm going to do that. And actually, I get that. Like, I'll never know what it's like to to be in that position where you can actually say that, and it's true. And that's fine. I just don't know what happens if we keep at this, and like the reality gets distorted. And some people on the internet are weird, like men and women, but really men. So if you're gonna show skin and use it for likes and follows, like there's gonna be some byproducts.
You gotta be
some
cautious.
Creepy guys gonna reach out to you and they're trying to find your address through Google and this and that, and I don't know. And I've seen, it's weird. I've seen women who are of the same realm, maybe the same age or status in some way, like say like you go girl, but then I've seen a lot of women actually hate it because like you're literally giving, like you're digging it further, the whole of sexualizing women in society. So I don't know. Sometimes I want to have a conversation like this with a woman.
It's so funny because I have friends that's on like both sides of the spectrum. Some girls that like hate it, and then I have some that's like, I do this, like there's nothing wrong with it.
I know. Me. This is coming from a place of the same experience. I know people that do it, and they're like, it's my life, my body. I'm just expressing myself. It's how I get by. You know, men have been exploiting us forever, and at least I can like exploit it and still get something out of it instead of just being used. And I get that, and I respect that. I'm just fearful of the other perspective that other women have too. Of like, well, now you're giving people the wrong idea of like an achievable body, which is one thing. The next thing is kind of creating, like reinforcing the male gaze sexually. And when you're doing that in your 20s, you have a lot of younger men looking up and like they think like, oh, that's what women are supposed to be like and look like. It's like some, but like
not all.
They have like supermodel bodies. Like it's you live your life surrounding men too. When you look like that, you live your life surrounding about diet and exercise and nothing else. It's like a full-time job. Like I try to eat really healthy and I work out a lot. And I still can't get to that body. You have to get obsessed. You have to work out 4 or 5 hours a day. You can't cheat at all, like on food. You can't drink. You can't do anything. To have like that 8% impeccable body with, you know, a 6-pack and just like muscle definition everywhere. It's for like super athletes, fighters, and models. Like Instagram models.
And that's what they do like for their job. So, you know,
it makes sense if that's all you're paid to do. That's why athletes look the way they do. They're paid to look like that. Yeah, I don't know how we got to this conversation. But it's a real it's an issue. I don't know what's gonna happen with it, but it's concerning. And I see it on like, I just got a TikTok in the last couple months just to have it. I don't post on it a lot. Probably should. It's another great way to get yourself out there. But the once in a while I find myself looking through it, I'm like, oh my God, it's like, I get it now. I get when people call like the Instagram models the TikTok stars. It's always some 21-year-old girl wearing yoga pants, like trying to get like the biggest butt ever created by humans and the flattest stomach, like these obsessed weird body shapes that's the problem, going back full circle to like the image for younger girls. Like it's not gonna end well if we keep doing that.
I agree. And that's why they use like the filters and stuff, like you were saying, like to achieve that look.
And the filter thing, that's a whole nother complicated one because you use the filter to try to look like somebody else, but in return now you're using a filter to not just try to figure out a way to work on yourself. You're like, instead of going like, okay, I'll eat healthier to get cleaner skin, and I'll exercise more to get like cleaner skin. Instead, you just put a filter on it and you keep the way you look instead of trying to work on yourself. So it kind of could be a little dangerous too as far as your own health. I don't know. It's complicated. And as guys, like we can only talk about it, but it's not quite the same. I don't see a lot of this with men. And even the way women talk about men, they're like, they prefer a guy who's like fit, but it's just not as strict.
I agree.
It's not as harsh.
Because sometimes I think men are a little bit more judgmental on women than women are with men. So I feel like women would give a guy a chance quicker if they don't have that body. And I think some men are like, no, I gotta have the curvy girl with the yoga pants and a certain type of shape. And so I think that pushes those girls to like try to, you know, achieve that. It's
a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I definitely think people should be healthy, but I don't like the way that it's being portrayed
I agree.
on the internet at all. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the people getting an obscene amount of popularity and followers just by showing skin. Like, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
And where it gets really weird. I'm not sure if you guys have this experience, but if you're ever on a dating app, which I have been, a lot of, I'll air quotes, attractive women will only use it to get Instagram followers.
Wow.
They have their name, they get their blue check mark to make sure they're real on this dating app. We'll call it Tinder.
Yeah.
And then it just says like, I don't respond here often, but like check out my Instagram. And then that you go to their Instagram. I've done it. I look at their Instagram, 15,000 followers, barely following anybody, and they're just showing like pictures of them in their bathing suits and stuff. Like that's it. It's like, oh, you're not actually. You probably have a boyfriend. You're not even actually on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble or whatever. You're just getting Instagram followers.
Wow.
You're using it to promote something you're doing. Modeling, might be art, might be acting, or might be just your swimsuit poses. And it's so obvious. And I'm like so grossed out by it. And I'm so frustrated by it.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this? Have you heard about this?
This is my first time hearing about it.
It's very real.
Yeah.
I've experienced, and I've confirmed with other guys. I don't know if men do it, but a lot of women do that.
Yeah.
A lot of younger women, like I've done the experiment of like opening up the age that I could see, and then between like 18 and 38, and I'll always see like 18 to like 24-year-old girls would like do this. I'm like, oh, I see. I started kind of using dating apps as like a social experience. Sometimes, not always, but like just to be like, what is going on out here?
Right.
And it's weird. People really will just use it to promote like their art. Like they're not actually serious. And it's like another place to get more. And if you're kind of good looking, you'll get a bunch of guys to go and follow on there, and they'll think like, oh, she said to message her, which a message comes with, I started following you, and then you just don't respond to the messages, but you get all these followers. Oh, it's so dirty. It's so tricky.
Right. It's like they're playing the system. Yeah.
I know. And like the end all be all argument always can go to, well, like men have been doing this stuff, so like screw it. And you're like, I mean, I guess I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it's like the right way to go about to have equality.
I agree.
Of like humans. I don't know.
It goes back to that two wrongs don't make a right type thing. Like,
Exactly. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
Oh, man. Well, tell me something else that's going on in life. Besides, we can get off the social media topic. It's a bit, it's a bit sad and dark.
Yeah.
A little bit out of our conversation now. I feel like it's a good thing to have with like a man and woman. To really talk about it. Two guys, we can only go so far before we're like, I don't know.
Got to come back with like another girl to have like the perspective there. Yeah.
And different people.
Yeah.
Different people from different backgrounds. Even like financial backgrounds is huge for these types of conversations because in educational backgrounds, it's not even easy to get to a point with just one or two people. You need like a group. And that's why I believe podcasts have been so helpful for this next generation. People sitting there and like talking about stuff that's actually happening. These are really happening. Like you couldn't have this conversation on Stephen Colbert or Jon Stewart or The View or some news 5-minute segment. Like they don't talk about this.
Yeah.
So I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I don't know how am I supposed to reach young girls? Like, hey, be careful. Like, don't. They're not gonna listen to me. Like, who is this old dude with a beard? He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I feel like they'd do it to anybody. Like,
yeah. I mean, would I have listened to somebody when I was 18? No,
probably not.
I don't blame them. I just wish they would. But I'm scared for the future generation.
Yeah.
But hasn't everybody always been scared for the future generation?
I definitely feel like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, have your parents always said, like, oh, you kids,
they think we're the worst.
Right.
And then I look at like the kids coming up and I'm like, wow, they're not like us. But,
They're not. I think, with the technology boom of the last 200 years, each generation has been strangely farther advanced than the next.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, you go back in time 1,000 years, it wasn't like things weren't changing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until big tech changes. Like when we were kids growing up, we didn't have smartphones.
Right.
Now we do. We also could not have produced a podcast by ourselves with a laptop and a 4K camera, but the technology got there, so now I can do it. Yeah. So it's changing in good ways, but it's changing some bad ways too. And like one of the best ways to change is for artists to promote themselves.
Yeah.
Like we can bring it back to that.
Yeah.
Like what you do between, your mixed media and modeling and music, you could not have done in the same way. Maybe not even balanced all of them 30 years ago, because you probably would have had to pick one to focus on to at least get that out there and do all of that. But now that you can kind of throw it up there and people could see everything, it makes it easy to be like, yeah, I have time for this because I can get this out of it. I can do you use your mixed media to like promote other things? Do you make art?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like posters and stuff for your...
I actually been doing like a format of like trying to include like everything into one. There was a time period, like you said, like where I wouldn't even post like art stuff. It'd be like strictly music. But then I realized now that like social media allows you to do that now. Like, so there's people out there that like art. There's people that like modeling stuff and music content. So, and there's people that like all of it. So I use it, like I might paint and have like my song underneath the painting. And that draws attention to both formats, the art side and the music side. Yeah.
Got it. Which one, if you had to pick, would you stick with?
Music.
Yeah, I figured.
Music.
And do you prefer to like do it alone? Do you, when you write, you just do it alone? You go into a studio and someone brings you music and beats, or would you rather be with a band and have a full backing band?
See, when it comes to writing, I'm very, very shy. So I have to be like in my own zone in a closed space. But like as far as like building instrumentals, I would say like being in there with a band and hearing them like zone out and create the different elements of the beat, and then seeing what I could add on top of that beat. I like to have like the instrument first and then add my lyrics to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And where do some of your lyrical styles and lyrical themes come from for you personally?
I would say time of building. Like over time, like I had different artists that I liked it. And then I think like over time, like I'd be like, okay, I like the way that this artist is very lyrical. And I like the way that this artist is very artistic with their showing it. And I kind of take like bits and pieces of each of those artists and combine it to make like my own style. Yeah.
So earlier you mentioned you started out with a little bit more grit, angst maybe, and now it's more happy.
Yeah.
Where do you write from a place when you're happy? Writing from a place of happiness can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
Sadness is just such a great fuel for art. Yeah. So...
You know what's crazy? It's actually the opposite for me. Like,
really?
I used to, like, when I would, like, write while I was sad, like, it would come, and then I would, like, ball up the paper and throw it to the side. Like, no,
Classic.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
But then, like, when I'm happy, like, I'm in a feel-good mood, and I write, and I'm like, this is the one. This is the one. Each time. Like, so I don't know, like, happiness, like, fuels, like, my writing process, I would say. Yeah.
Maybe it's just a state of mind then.
Yeah.
Because it is a common thing to, like, sad people make great music.
Yeah, they do.
They do. And when I've had such a hard time writing my own music in the last couple of years, mostly because of just being really busy, but also being in a better headspace. I'm not as sad as I used to be when I was younger, and I used to write so much when I was sad.
Yeah.
Really heavy stuff, and I almost thought I needed that to do it.
Yeah.
And now I realize it is just a perspective, like a headspace.
Yeah.
Like you can still write beautiful and sad things while you're still happy.
Yes.
And I sometimes, when I write that, I have to write it from someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
Like when I write a lot of poetry, when I will write something that's a little bit heavier, I might be writing from someone I know that's dear to me, like what they're going through.
Yeah.
Or sometimes when I'm going through, but not through the lens of depression or sadness, but
Right.
more like it's just experiencing life. And sometimes it's sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't go your way. But yeah, I think it's a healthier state of mind to be able to write in any way that you're feeling, but not necessarily have to always be like, I need to be sad and drunk and down and just lonely to write anything good.
Yeah.
Because then you almost like manifest destiny. You almost like make it happen. You always find yourself being that spiraling artist that can't, find foundation, find ground.
Yeah.
And you tell yourself, like, I can't be a good artist unless I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, struggle makes good artists. It definitely thickens the skin.
does.
It makes you resilient. But after struggling for as long as I have been being at 32 now, I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm tired of that kind of struggle, you know?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself still in the struggle
Yeah.
of being an artist?
I think so. I think I would say I have found like that balance of like being like, okay, I'm in a happy state now, but I could channel that inner like if I wanted to make an emotional song, I could channel of like when I was going through the struggle to make that like sad song if I needed to, if that makes sense. Like I could be like in a very happy state and still create that sad music if I wanted to. Yeah.
Are there anybody in your family that's musical?
Yes, like actually like my little brother, he actually sings too. Like a lot of people doesn't know it, but he could sing as well. Yeah.
What about parents?
No.
No, not at all.
I have a cousin that's actually like, it's my dad's cousin, but I'm not very close with him, but he's actually like in LA working with like labels and everything like that. So
Maybe you should get close with him.
yeah, we actually had a couple conversations online. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But parents just not into that world?
Nah.
No. Are they also from Gurney area?
Yeah, they
So
are.
you're just born and raised over there?
Well, my dad is actually from Flint, Michigan. My mom's from the Gurney area. So
Flint, Michigan. Now that name
Yeah.
sticks out
Yeah.
nationally.
Yeah.
Man, that do they still have issues there?
Not that I know of. I know the last time I went there like 2 years ago. When I went there 2 years ago, they were still saying don't drink the water. Now, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's pretty much
They fixed it.
corrected. Yeah.
I mean, they almost have to. It
Yeah.
was so bad. Yeah. Did he grow up with water issues then?
No, he never mentioned it until like
It became a thing.
Yeah, I think it was just like normal for them. Like yeah,
Man, that's wild.
yeah.
And why Gurney? What brought your family to Gurney?
My mom always lived here. Like I think her parents moved from like Alabama to up here, and so she's been here like her whole life. My dad was in the military, so he got stationed at Great Lakes, and that's how he
okay.
met my mom. Yeah,
A lot of Six Flags trips?
yeah, definitely.
Did you have like season passes?
Yeah, all the time, all the time.
I used to love going there. Remember that roller coaster, the Shockwave?
Yeah, I do.
That roller coaster was terrible.
Yeah.
It just shook your head so much. All those old ones from like the 80s and 90s. The Iron Wolf.
Oh, the
Shockwave.
Iron Wolf was the worst.
Yeah.
Like the headache
The
afterwards.
standing up just oh my god. New roller coasters are so nice. They're
Yeah.
smooth. It's like riding in a luxury car.
I agree.
You're just gliding on ice. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
these are great. I went to Cedar Point 6 years ago. You ever go there?
I wanted to go. I never went though.
You should go. It's definitely, I've been to a bunch of amusement parks. I've been to some in Dallas, California, Florida, and Indiana, and then Chicago or Gurney. But this one, it's not a Six Flags branch, Cedar Point, and I think it's the best one in the country. It might be
Okay.
one of the best ones in the world. It has the most roller coasters, the tallest, fastest, but there was a new roller coaster there. I forget the name of it. And it was one that sat 8 people in a row, which is kind of rare, I think.
Yeah.
And it was so comfortable. I felt so safe in it. It felt like I was sitting in a nice like Mercedes Benz, and just the chain going up was like silent. The drops were smooth. Everything about it I felt like I was just gliding in the air, like flying.
safe. Yeah.
And then I went on an older roller coaster that was wooden, and it was miserable. I almost threw up when I got off just from shaking. The shaking made me like nauseous.
Yeah.
My head hurt. My body was like vibrating. I was like, oh my God, these are still commissioned. Like, they need to get rid of these
Yeah,
things.
they definitely do.
They have to be dangerous. They're put together with wood.
Yeah. So do you like roller coasters?
I do.
Yeah.
I like anything that's not spinning. I'll throw up if I spin.
Okay.
I get bad with spinning, and I found out the hard way when I would go on like the Tilt-A-Whirl or the teacups or like the swings, at Six Flags.
Yeah.
And then I'd throw up and like I can't do it. It almost like when I see movies or shows when they do those things, I'm almost like I can't look at it. It makes me sick thinking about it. How about you? Can you handle that stuff?
I can. I think where I draw the line is like really big drops. Like I just did the Raging Bull like maybe like 2 years ago for the first time.
Really?
And like out of all the times I went there, I would avoid that ride. I
It's
don't
been there
care.
for like 20 years.
Yeah. No matter how many times I got pressured, I'm like, nope.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not. When I finally did it, it wasn't that bad. But I did it like at Fright Fest. I had a big coat on, so like my hood was over my head. So I felt like I was in the zone and didn't pay attention to the drop. But Yeah.
Fright Fest, I used to love that growing
Yeah.
up. It used to be so scary. Have you gone to that recently?
Yeah, I have.
Still scary?
Still.
Man, it was so much fun as a kid. I mean, as an adult, it's probably not as scary, but as a child, my dad always played into it. He was really into that stuff, Halloween. So he would always we'd be walking, and he would always push me into the creepy characters. Or he'd tell them come over here and bother him. I'll leave him alone and pretend I disappeared, and you
He
mess
sounds
with
like
them.
me. That's what
he'd play these mean, kind of funny pranks on us as kids. Once in a while, one of the people in costumes would get on a ride, right? And my dad would be sit here and would go to a different row and make me sit next to this creature looking at me, and I'd be crying, and he'd just be laughing in the back, and I'm like, I wonder if that's child abuse. I mean, I'm kidding. It's not. It's just really funny. I don't have trauma from it, but in hindsight, I'm like, man, that's a hysterical thing to do.
Right.
Making your kid cry for 2 minutes on a roller coaster while a zombie's sitting next to it. Do you ever experience that on a roller coaster?
I'm not on the roller coaster, but I'm that guy that would see the monster and tell them to come pick with somebody that's scared of them. That's me. Yeah.
It's got to be so much more fun when you bring kids, little kids.
Yeah.
Again, I don't get scared as an adult from things that aren't real, like people in costumes. Yeah. But as bringing a kid would be really fun.
Yeah, it would.
Right. So you said you've toured the country.
Yeah.
What are some of the bigger or more memorable shows you've performed?
New York. I did it was a showcase, but it was for Warner Bros. Mm-hmm. And we won the showcase. So that was a very fun thing that I did.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where at in New York?
It was I personally don't even know the venue.
Was it Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens?
I think it was Queens. If I'm right. Okay. If I'm right. We still have pictures and everything. They gave us a little medal and stuff from it. It was pretty cool, yeah.
Big crowd?
It was an okay crowd. We were the only, there was one other person from St. Louis. Outside of that, we were the only group from the Chicago area. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was from out there. Mm. So we was very nervous to come there, but we actually ended up winning the show. Oh, so it's pretty cool, yeah.
And anything become of winning that?
So what happened was I was a part of the group, and then that group had we were a part of an indie record label that was made up pretty much my friend dad ran the indie label. So he had asked for our group's tape, and so we gave him the tape and everything. But it also had other music on it from the other people in the record label. So I don't know if he was a big fan of all of it together. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't much after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. And when did you stop touring? You toured with this group. What was the name of the group?
It was named BDS.
BDS.
And it stood for Black Diamond Shawty.
Yeah. Okay, and then how long did that last for, that touring?
It was maybe about I would say 5 or 6 months. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Why did it stop?
I think we just slowed down. We had got to a point where we was performing in front of very big crowds, maybe 1,000 people in the crowd. Yeah. And then over time, I would say the show slowed down a little bit because we would do we went from performing at the Rave at Eagles Ballroom, and then we would do sometimes we would do schools, and sometimes those school shows wasn't the same vibe as those big shows, and I think that killed the buzz and
momentum.
We were yeah.
And you're we're done.
Yeah.
And where have you been performing lately?
Lately, I actually took a break for a while. So I revamped, and I've been working on my EP and things. So now I'm getting back out there and booking shows and stuff again. So I have several shows booked in September. That
Where at?
What's the name of the place? You mind if I pull out my phone?
Oh, go ahead. Cool. Go ahead. Looking up some dates.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the show is gotta look back in here. So the show would be looking through messages.
Aspen's looking for a show right now.
Yeah. All right. Let me see.
What their tattoo stands for 2019, that number.
Yeah.
Anything in particular?
It's my anniversary date.
Ah,
Actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Luckily, I know my Roman numerals.
And now, okay, so it is called. This is so weird.
You don't
Like,
have it in your calendar?
I see it here, like the message where like my guy actually got me the show.
Yeah.
So I see the message where he's talking about it, but I don't see the message with the actual place in here.
You don't have the date?
I know it's I want to say September 10th is the date. Let me see. Okay, perfect. Yes, September 10th is the date of the actual show.
You don't know where, though?
It is at the... I don't know the location. I don't...
We can't fully promote. We don't have a location.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
And then by the end of the show, I'll probably end up thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the show.
Have you played in Chicago downtown a lot?
Yes.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite spots in the city?
I don't know the actual like locations. Like we
Or
did like
venues?
a lot. Yeah, the venues. I don't actually know like the name of them. I would just like they would get set and then we show up and perform.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Like my most memorable was the rave that I liked it around here. Yeah.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
And so painting, poetry, modeling,
Yes.
and music. Anything else?
Those are the main things. I did do basketball growing up. Yeah. I was into sports growing up,
Me
like
too.
basketball, football. I did football up until like freshman year, and then I was supposed to get moved up. And my mom was like, "Oh no, you don't need to play football. You're gonna get injured." And so I stopped playing
She's
football.
not wrong.
Yeah.
Mom's right.
So that's why I stopped playing football. Basketball is like a really big thing in our house. Like my older brother's really good at basketball, and then my dad was a coach. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm big into basketball too.
Okay, cool.
I played a lot growing up, organized and street ball, both.
Yeah.
And I kind of always liked street more.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the rules.
Yeah.
It's just not as fun. You can't do anything. You always get whistle blown on you. And
Yeah.
It's like what made the NBA kind of boring.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Everything is
It's a foul.
everything. And if it's not a foul, someone's playing it up as if it's one, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
Although the Bulls this year were really fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I actually went to a game, like, because I told you my brother's into TikTok. So
Yeah.
he got invited to sit, like, in the skybox and all that. So we went to the game, and it was a really cool
Oh,
experience.
nice. What? Who were they playing? Do you remember?
Yeah. Do you remember who they was playing that game?
Was it Cleveland?
Cleveland. It was. Because she was, like, Tristan Thompson's team. And I'm like, she
Nice.
knows because of Kim Kardashian.
Oh, okay. What was it? Was this like when they were doing really well? Like,
Yeah,
over
it
the
was.
winter.
Yep.
They had that peak when they were like in first for a while.
Yeah.
And then something happened after the All-Star break, and they just kind of turtled to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Barely. Yeah, I mean, it was still fun. I'm glad that it got me through the winter. Got a lot of
Yeah.
my friends, and I was like, well, let's watch the Bulls again. They're like in first place. They're doing well. The most fun was that New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. DeMar when he
Yeah.
made both buzzer beaters. And it's funny, the second one, do you
Yeah.
remember that?
I think that was actually around the same era that we went to the game. if I'm right.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I think it was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
He made the first one. And then the second one, we were watching it with my friends, and I was like, how funny would it be if he just went over and made another three to win it, and he did it, and they all looked at me like, wow. I was like, I mean, I just said, I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
So it's the Bulls your team?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I grew up here, Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls. How can it not be? Had his jerseys growing up. I mean, I'm born in 89, so I remember really well the last three championships, 96, 97, 98, especially the last season. I watched a lot of that at like 8 years old. And my dad and brother were really into it too. My brother and I played basketball a lot.
Yeah.
We used to play all the time. We had this really fun, in 2012 summer, we had a really fun secret hidden like basketball league.
Okay.
My friend, I guess I could say this, that doesn't matter. He was a custodian at a local school. I guess I won't say the school, but it was a private school, a Catholic school. Small attendance, small student body. And he would let us in on Sunday nights, and we'd get 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 on a full court game.
Yeah.
Have like their, net jerseys. we had access to the buzzer and the clock and the points. So someone who wasn't playing would keep track of the points and the clocks and everything. And we actually had like full teams. We'd play like full games on a court with all the points and everything working.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. We did it every Sunday, and we did it the whole summer. And then why we stopped was he was there with a different friend, just one-on-one playing, and no one was around. His boss came in, and his boss knew both of them. And he was just like, oh, like, what are you guys doing? We're like, oh, we're just playing. He's like, you can't do that. And he's like, oh, sorry. And he's like, what? Got some secret men's basketball league here going on? Like, he just said it. And my friend was like, oh, no. Like, in his head, he was like, yeah, we do. But he didn't say it. Yeah. He's like, oh, no. And then he told us, like, guys, we can't anymore. Like, I don't think they know, but they're probably going to find out. But it was really fun as, like, an adult to just have private access to a basketball court. Yeah. Only to us. We're the only ones there. Full reign. That seems fun. Access to the shot clock and time. We do, like, 10-minute quarters. It was so much fun.
That seems fun.
It was fun. And then, someone got hurt, and we're like, can't really, I don't want to sue. I guess we'll just leave. Yeah, it was fun. I really miss playing, but I got hurt a lot. I hurt my ankles and knees a lot. A lot of rolling and sprained ankles and knees. Yeah. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like,
what's your favorite position?
I was always center.
Center?
Because I could jump really high. Yeah. I know you wouldn't think it, but if I kept practicing and trying, I'd probably can come close to dunking. I'm only like 5'10". Yeah. I could jump strangely high. So I was always able to like get in rebound, blocking, layups, really good down low. And also a little aggressive and more kind of a rebel. So I didn't have a problem like really boxing people out and digging into them. But my worst quality was I'm not very competitive. Like I don't care if I win or lose. I just want to have fun. Yeah. So whenever we'd lose, the coach would get mad because I'm just like smiling, having fun. Like, I don't care. I scored 10 points. I had a couple of rebounds. It was fun. Mm-hmm. And like everyone around me would be so upset that we lost. And I was like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter.
It's a game.
We're not going to go to the NBA. Like, I'm aware like we're not good. Yeah. We're a bunch of kids in the suburbs. Like, we're not good. Yeah. So like, who cares? But they took it so seriously. And I think that's where I've been bad with sports. I can never, once I saw what it took to be a professional athlete, even at a young age at like 15, I was like, well, that's not us. Right. So what are we doing here? Like, I'm not going to get a free ride to college for this. I'm not going to the NBA. So why should I? I'm going to try, but I'm not going to get upset if I lose. Yeah. I'm not going to not try, but I'm certainly not going to get upset if I don't win. Yeah. How about you? What position?
Point guard.
Point guard.
Point guard. My whole career.
You shoot well then?
Yeah. Nice. Pretty good. I'm a really good passer.
Okay.
Really good passer, really good defense. Yeah.
So are your ankles and knees okay then?
Yeah.
That's probably why.
My knees now aren't so good. Yeah. But back then,
Right. Yeah, it's this. I feel like people who go to the drive a lot have the worst knees and ankles. And I did that a lot because I was able to, again, I was fast and could jump high. So I would drive all the time and you land on someone's shoe, you land on someone's ankle. Ankle goes sideways, knee goes sideways. And whoever started just shooting like in the way Steph Curry shoots, where it's just you just stick to shooting, that's genius because you don't really get hurt. It's hard to get hurt if you're just shooting.
I agree.
And you can get more points because they're 3 points. So like it's a win-win if you can hone in on that skill set. And I'm just jealous. I never got good at it. I never had to shoot. I always was dominate through people. I could always just jump over and through them. So I was like, I'm going to do this. It's an easy layup, but then you land and you land and you land and you land. You do that for 10, 15, 20 years and you're like, oh, I'm shot. I can't do it anymore. So now I won't do it. And I have some friends that will give me crap. They're like, why don't you play with us? It's like, I'm scared. Like the last time I played, my knee went sideways. Yeah. And it took me like 6 weeks to heal. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not an athlete like that. Like I'm not getting paid to do this. Yeah. It doesn't suit me. I don't get any rewards from this.
It's not the same. Yeah.
No. I rather exercise in a more safe manner, like hikes and stuff I can control.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. So you still play?
For fun. For fun,
Yeah. Do you have friends that are like really good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who could dunk on you?
Yeah, definitely.
I've never really played with someone who could dunk, and I'm glad because then it's like if someone can dunk on you and you can't, you're screwed. Like you can't stop that.
I had like a couple people that went like overseas pro.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That I like play with. So
you guys are good.
Yeah.
I probably would suck next to you. I was good relative to where I was from.
Yeah?
But yeah,
Good.
whenever I met that person, like, yeah, you played in college. I'm like, oh, great. He's like 6'5". How tall are you?
I'm 5'11".
Oh, so
Yeah.
you kind of had to be a point guard.
Yeah.
And the friends who played overseas like 6'6".
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, once you get to that 6'6" world,
It's different. It's a different ball game.
Different ball game. Literally, they could do anything.
Yeah.
Dunking from crazy places and stuff. Even if they're not dunking, they can just shoot over you. You can't just block them.
Nothing
They're
you
shooting.
can do with it.
No,
Yeah.
you're screwed. Where were some like the biggest places some of your friends have played? Like as far as overseas, like who went the furthest?
There's a guy named Quincy Miller. He actually got to the NBA, played on the Denver Nuggets for a season, and then he played overseas now. So I believe he's in the Australian League now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then I had another friend named Jordan. He's playing overseas now. He played in the
First
G
name
League.
Michael?
No, Johnson.
I'm kidding.
But he played in the G League, in the NBA G League, and now he's overseas. So,
Oh wow. And these are your friends?
Yeah,
Wow. Was it wild to like watch an NBA game and your friends on the team?
it was.
Did he start? Or he would go in, sub in and stuff.
He actually subbed in.
Nice.
It was like his rookie season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 500 people in the NBA,
Right. Mhm.
Out of 8 billion on this planet.
Yeah.
So if you're in the NBA, it's like you're an exception. Like you are the top athletes in the
Yeah.
world. Wow, that's cool. And
Yeah.
and then they just. So I never understood that. When people go to like Asia or Europe to play, they get paid and they
Yeah.
just live there and they
Yeah.
just play. Is it's like enough to live type of job? Or it's nothing like the NBA.
Nothing like the
financially.
NBA, but it's enough to like sustain yourself and have a
House and a life.
well-off life. Yeah.
Yeah, like what do they make those guys? Like I always wonder, like
You know, I don't know their
have no
actual
idea.
numbers, but I mean, living looks nice. Yeah, their
so a
living
couple
situation-
100,000 if you're
Yeah,
good, right?
Definitely.
It's like a doctor's salary.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad. I always wonder, like when those guys like play overseas, I'm like, what are they?
Yeah.
What is? I don't know anything about the overseas sports.
Yeah.
You know.
I know there's different leagues that's like bigger than others. So I know like
Oh.
Australian leagues is like the Australian Basketball Association is like probably like the next after the NBA.
Australian?
Yeah.
Like in Australia. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean NBA is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Isn't there a base salary like almost like $1 million or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Or something, or 500, something really high.
Something like that,
Like if
yeah.
you are, I always say I want to be the 15th guy
Yeah.
that never goes in, so his body is always in perfect shape. He doesn't ever get hurt, and he's just the greatest. He just
That'd be
claps.
perfect, yeah.
You really have to be almost like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
You're getting up, you're letting people sit down, you're clapping, you're like yeah. And in your head you're like I just another 500,000 to sit here all year and have access to the best training
Right.
at the the Bulls spot, weight trainers and physical therapists. And I get access to all the
Yep.
I actually have to play this game. And I'm kidding. I'm sure they want to play. Because if you play, that means you're more likely to keep sustaining it. But it's weird. There's those athletes who like your friend, you go in 1
Yeah.
year, then you're out. And then there's those who like, Kobe Bryant who have 20 years of
Yeah.
success. It's like all over the place.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite players?
LeBron.
LeBron
yeah.
guy? You've always liked him?
Yeah.
I
Day one.
recently liked him a lot more.
Yeah.
In the late 2000s, he had that like, not gonna lie, that little like whiny attitude. You're right? He was always just
I
like
can agree with
complaining
that,
about
though. I
something.
can
It's like,
agree.
dude, you're amazing. Stop
Yeah.
complaining. He was always just like mad or
Sometimes.
I think just young,
Yeah.
just young, inexperienced. And then as he's gotten older and he's become like a really awesome role model for kids and just still a phenomenal player. Like, didn't he score the most points this year or almost the most points?
I think he's like number 2 right under Kareem if I'm right.
I just meant
Yeah.
like average per game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Something close to it. But now I think next year,
Yeah.
towards the end of the season, as long as he's healthy, he will beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
Because
that is.
his points are like 37,000 points.
Yep.
Which is great. I mean, once he does that, it's going to be a tough argument with him versus Jordan. Because right now, Jordan has like the 6 for
Yep.
6. But once you have all-time points, I mean, that's huge.
He has like all the stats, to be honest. Like a lot of the stats LeBron is like covering. But I do agree Jordan has those 6 rings that just
He has those 6 rings, and his stats in the way he did it, like, my favorite thing to look at is, I think it's his 1988 season. I believe he won like all-time scoring. He was he's the MVP.
Yeah.
He was the all-time defense player of the year.
Yep.
He made both all defense and all-star, and he was the all-star MVP and the slam dunk competition
Yep.
winner, and had like the most steal. Like it was crazy. He had like everything you could have
Yeah.
by himself, and he was like 25,
Yeah.
except for a championship. But still, I'm like, what a freak, dude.
Who's your all time?
Probably Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
How could it not be? I mean, you grow up here, and it's like who you idolize as a kid. You say his name when you shoot anything into anything. I mean, now I say Kobe, but I say Jordan and Kobe. And then you watch something like The Last Dance, and you're like, this guy is a maniac.
See,
He's insane.
I wasn't the biggest Jordan fan.
Really?
I could like.
That's surprising from being from this area.
Yeah, I think it was my dad's influence on me. He's a big Detroit fan, so those two clash. Yeah.
Oh, because of Flint, Michigan?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, you would not like Jordan if you're from Detroit.
Yeah.
So he liked the bad boy. He liked Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
What does he think of Dennis Rodman, who did both?
He's cordial with it. Yeah, he says he liked Dennis when he was on the Detroit. He's very biased. Anything Detroit.
Right.
Yeah.
So what, Lamir?
Yeah.
Lambeer?
Yep.
That guy sucked.
Yeah.
He's such a dick. He was like the Grayson Allen of like the 80s. You know,
Yeah.
Grayson Allen from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
When I got to meet Alex Caruso and Ben Gordon like 2 weeks
cool.
ago. I went to United Center for this charity event.
Oh, that's
It was great. I snuck off and I was like walking around the empty stadium by myself. It was really surreal to be like in the empty stadium, just walking on the court.
yeah.
The court was there was ice. It was weird. It was
Is
like
it?
it was.
Because the hockey team plays there too, right?
Yeah. But it was like empty, and I was snooping around.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, I love being an adult. You can't get in trouble for anything.
Right.
As long as you are well groomed, dress well, and well mannered, people don't get mad at you.
Yeah, they don't.
The worst thing they
second
say is like, sir, are you supposed to be like, yeah, I'm supposed to be. I'm like, oh, okay. And they go about their day. As a kid or something, they'll, what are you doing over here? Get out of here. But as an adult, I'm like, I can pull this off.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen. Just do something with confidence. People, oh, he must be important. He must be here for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Do you find yourself ever like using, this is a complete
No?
out of nowhere question, find yourself using like other people's tragedy in your life to express your art forms?
Yes, sometimes. Sometimes. In very rare occasions, I could like channel that into, I would say more so my art. More so. I would say like music is normally like, I wouldn't say it's all my experiences. Sometimes I write like I visualize and then I could write like the story for my music. But like with art, like if I see something that might like hit to the core, I might create like a painting based off of that. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And how long have you been painting for?
Since about 14, 15.
14, 15.
Taking it serious more so.
Do you sell any of your work?
I actually want to get into like selling but I've been doing it a while just like for myself. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. You do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I always like wonder this question with people who do athletic things and creative things. Do you find them meeting in any way?
Yes, all the time.
Like what are the ways they meet for you?
I would say like music and modeling. Those two go like hand in hand.
What does?
Music and modeling for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would say that it goes hand in hand because like on my Instagram, I like to do like a lot of like model-y type pictures, but I use those pictures to like promote my music. And then like for art, like I would say that sometimes like my music could be that soundtrack when I'm painting sometimes. Because like if I create a new song, I'm going to blast it like 100 million times. And like that's like my backing track for like my art sometimes. Yeah.
But what about like things physical, like athletics, like basketball? In
Okay.
this situation, do you find basketball ever finds its way into your creative life? Like, do you think those worlds meet in any way for you?
I would say not for me.
Yeah.
I would say they're like two separate worlds, but I actually like that. I feel like basketball is like my escape sometimes. Like when I get overwhelmed with like the artistic side, I go find like an empty court and put up some shots and clear my mind. Yeah.
I have my own theory or thoughts about it because I grew up doing creative things and in sports, and sometimes I'm like, I think they're a little bit more similar than people give them credit for because they live in different camps. One lives in like, oh, you must be a jockey, bro, like hard-headed beefhead if you're an athlete, and you must be this like weird, introverted, meek, dainty person if you're an artist. But I'm like, have you watched athletes? Like the strategy, the creative thought it takes to come up with things, how to map out and figure out a situation. Even some sports start to get into the world of where like dance and ballerina are. Like, look at a slam dunk competition. They're so, it's like an artistic expression. Like they're doing these weird dances in midair, trying to flaunt some type of like flashy movement. Like it's a improvisation dance or something. And you have to think, you have to map out everything. Even the food you eat and the practice you do is like a type of expression for your body and mind. So I started, as I've gotten older, I used to think they were so separate. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, man, sports are just a different way to express yourself.
I can see that.
Right? It's just a very different way.
Yeah.
And if you keep them separate, they can be, but doing both, like playing guitar and the amount of practice, and this is where the worlds get similar, the practice it takes to have dexterity and repetition and understanding how to do things. It's the same thing with playing basketball, like getting better at ball handling. You have to keep doing it, and there's technique to it.
I can
repetition.
See that.
Now, maybe there's not the traditional form of expression like melody and rhythm, but there is a rhythm actually to a sport. And I think there's a lot more creative like thought processing in sports than people give it credit. I think they just separate them. I'm like, I don't know, they're kind of married. Like a lot of expression is married. It goes hand in hand.
I can see that. Like, especially like when you say the practice thing, I would say like those practicing basketball definitely transition into like my practicing lyrics or that time that I will put in like putting up shots compared to like working on lyrics is definitely like the same thing.
They mirror each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's a good thing you brought up lyrics. You get better at literally just writing a song the more you do it. Like lyrics, stories, rhyme schemes, patterns, pauses, breaks, all these things are coming more naturally when you keep doing it instead of just being like, I don't get how people write a song. It's like, dude, just keep doing it and they get better. Like if someone told me to write a poem, I'll give you, 5 minutes to write a poem and then edit it, show me it. I could do that now on the fly, like nothing. But 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would sit there spiraling like, what do I write about? What do I do? And you just, that muscle memory of just doing it and doing it. And that's where you see skill, like raw talent and skill meeting, putting in the work, putting in the years, the hours to like get something going. It doesn't just come out of thin air. And that's where people, the more you scale up in your career, the more you should get paid because you're not just getting paid for what you did that night. Like say you play a show and someone gives you $1,000 and a friend or a family member finds out like, wow, you got $1,000 to just play for 2 hours. It's like, I didn't play for 2 hours. I've been playing for 15 years for those 2 hours, so I can make $1,000. That's payback for the 15 years I didn't make anything. So that's how I feel now. When I finally will get like decent money for a job, I'm like, man. In my head, we've been sadly like not tricked, but kind of taught by our parents to be like, if you're not like working hard and working like you're not making, if you're not making money like hourly, you're like doing a job or something. But it's like, what if this is just, this money's making up for all the years I worked hard at this? And it is a job. And just because it's not a traditional thing where I went in, someone hired me, I have a pay stub, and I get paid from this time to this time, and I'm making money for some other company, just because it's not that doesn't mean this isn't work. It takes a lot of time to get to that. When you see someone perform in a venue, they're not just working that night. They worked for so many years and countless hours to be able to do that.
I agree with that.
Even have the stage performance, the confidence. A newbie is like nervous and sweating and messing up and slipping and forgetting their lines. And if a seasoned veteran, you would never know. Like they're perfect. And it's like all those years and even the traveling, the planning, the commute, prepping, their work day starts at like 4 p.m. and goes till 1. It doesn't start at 8 and get off at 4 like most people. And it starts at time because that's when everyone else got off work and now they can come see you perform. Like, do you ever have a weird feeling about it from like your family, the way you were raised to like what you do now?
Yes, I would say, especially my mom. My mom's a very traditional person. Like she runs like hotels and stuff. So she's like, she wants that typical like work life. My dad's more like, easygoing, like more free feel. But my mom's like, doesn't get the new artistic form, you know? Yeah.
So, have they supported you?
Yes, they did.
They
They
did?
did. They did.
Was it hard at first? Have they always been there?
Believe it or not, like, I don't think she took it seriously at first, but they always supported. Like, they actually, like, paid for, like, my first studio sessions and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And actually, like, the first time I ever recorded, like, it's a funny story, like, they did my ad-libs in my song. So
That is funny.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, when you were like, you go to high school, did you go to college or anything like that?
I went to, like, community college for,
Okay.
like, 2 years.
Got
Yeah.
it. So, when you were doing that, were you telling them, like, I kind of want to pursue
Yes.
creative endeavors? It's going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, probably music. And they were just like, okay. They didn't. I mean, come on, there had to be some pushback.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
There was some pushback. Like when I first went to school, I actually wanted to go to the Art Institute at 1st. That was like my first thing because I wanted to go for music at the time. And she was like, I don't think you should go for that. I think you should do this instead. And so like that definitely, I did end up listening to her. And I went to school for what she said, but then I was like, I don't really too much care for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I went there, the Art Institute of Chicago, for
Yeah.
my master's degree.
Oh,
And
cool.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were wanting to go into music or production, I wouldn't recommend that school. I'd recommend
Yeah.
Columbia
Okay.
for that. The Art Institute's more like sound art. It's
Yeah.
more fine art sound,
Okay.
which is very experimental.
Yeah.
Very different from like production.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very big risk. It's definitely
Yeah.
been worth it, but man, that was a shot in the dark. I could
Yeah.
see it. I was older. I went at 26. I didn't have to listen to my parents. I just did my own thing.
good.
I wasn't living with them, but they were definitely kind of nervous, even though they didn't have a say. They were like, I don't think you should do that. I'm like, I'm doing it. I've been pretty good at not listening to adults for a while now, which has been working out. I've had to learn the hard way, but
Yeah.
it just comes from a place of like you have a vision. No one else can see it. And certainly not people that are 20, 30 years older when they've lived a life where it's just been revolving around work and like making money for the man. They resent anybody who does anything differently. Art is not a way to make money.
Not at all to them.
And no, not to them. But you realize it is. People do it all the
Yeah.
time. It's harder. It's definitely a harder path, but you
Right.
can do it. It's totally possible. I know a lot of people who make money or live off their art.
Yeah.
You know, do you do your art full time? Do you do anything else?
No, I don't do it full time. I'm a mental health technician outside of this. So yeah.
And do you find those connecting at all?
No, I want to I want to like eventually stop doing that full time.
Yeah.
You know, and then start doing my music and stuff full time. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's a really admirable job, like a mental health technician. I mean, these are jobs that we need.
Yeah.
You know, very hard. Oh man, don't even get me started on mental health. What would you, knowing what you know, how long you been in that field?
8 years.
Okay, so you know a lot then. What are some things that the government can do to help that situation?
I actually worked at a state-ran facility for a while.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
so you saw some things.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah,
I've had
it
some
is.
friends work at those types of facilities, and I've had friends have to be admitted to those types of
Yeah.
facilities, and it's like, it's terrible.
It is.
It's like there's no funding.
Yeah.
Like mental health and the arts, for some reason,
Yep.
our government has just been like, nah, we'll focus on like other nonsense that
Right.
actually isn't going to help society. Like, man, first of all, mental health is like the foundation.
Yeah.
People need to be sane and healthy to like make society and economics work, right? And then art needs to have funding because it is the other half of the economy
Yeah.
and society. Everybody uses art, everybody, in some way, shape, or form. Even someone who's the most white collar, bro-ish guy ever that you would never think. He listens to music, doesn't he? He goes to a concert, listens to podcasts, watch movies.
Right.
Might have a painting hanging in his house. It doesn't matter. He wears clothes, right? He eats food, culinary arts, fashion. He drives a car, right? That car was designed by an artist and an engineer. They combined. Like science and art combines everywhere and everything we do. And to just write it off as like, no, we don't have to focus on the arts. It's something that I want to do something about with what I do. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. And everyone in my world will have these same complaints, but we're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, like what? Like I'm not sure if you want to talk about that,
Oh, yeah,
your job
yeah.
or what you do. Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be hard. You probably see some really difficult things.
Yeah, I have.
Right?
Yeah. It's definitely, I would say that it's a joyous job though.
Really?
Yeah. It once you get used to it, you realize that you're bringing like a lot of happiness to people, and that's where like the joy comes in. Yeah.
And by used to, you mean like numb to the chaos?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Like, you know,
Yeah.
to just be like, well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, mental health, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. It is.
And do you, so you just, what do you do there exactly?
There, like I look over patients. I take them to see like psychiatrists and doctors. Help them like with their everyday living. Make sure,
okay. Okay. So for the most part, it goes smoothly, but then sometimes something crazy goes down.
Yeah, like at a snap,
Right.
things could change. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Do you find yourself making art based on those experiences or at all? Or do you just keep them completely separate as much as you can?
Keep them separate. Yeah.
So sports, job, art, all separate.
Yeah. It's like I'm like Batman at work. Like, you know.
No one would ever know.
No, nobody
Superman.
would know.
You're like
Yeah, Superman. Yeah.
There you go. Interesting. See, I'm in a weird position where everything bleeds,
Oh, okay. Cool.
which is good and bad
Yeah.
because then you get no separation, but they all bleed.
Yeah.
The podcast, recording bands, filming, going on location to film, the
Yeah.
fest, being in bands, putting on events. It's weird. It's all based around like art, music,
Yeah.
and like conversations and other artists, you know?
Okay.
And even like now that like it's a hobby, like this right now is like a hobby for me.
Yeah.
And playing in bands is a hobby, yet it's in this studio where like tomorrow I have a band coming to record. Like it doesn't, it's all, it's where I live. It like doesn't leave. So I have such a weird experience now in life. Like it's just been blurring for like 7 years now. And then when I do teach during the school year, I teach all these things that I'm talking about when I do. Like it doesn't leave. I even teach what I do there. And then what I teach, I actually do here. Like nothing leaves that bubble of like the art, music, production, event world.
I can understand that.
Which is weird. It's like I like it, but
Yeah.
I never get a break from it. It's just always there. So yeah, I'm trying to teach myself how to like separate. And I don't know. It's weird. So when I hear like, yeah, I work, I do my activities like sports, and then I do my art, I'm like, I get a little jealous. Like, man, it sounds nice to just like separate.
It's crazy because I get jealous here. You, like,
The grass is always greener,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, I get jealous to a certain extent, but I'm grateful every day when, like right now, 99% of my friends are at work.
yeah.
And I'm just like hanging out with you talking about these things, you know? Like, did you have work today? Did you take off work for this?
I'm on vacation right now.
Oh,
So, yeah.
see, this is what you do in your
Every time,
vacation.
yeah.
This is just life, you know? And yeah, I'm not fully like truly jealous of people that do that. I always wonder like, man, what is it like to like separate things?
Yeah.
So that's why when I do move to the city, I am excited to like apartment,
Yeah.
studio, fest. Like they're separate,
Yeah.
but still doing them for life, but separating them. That's
Yeah.
going to be nice.
Yeah.
Although not having a commute to work is great when someone's like, yeah, I'll be in at 11 to record. Like, okay, I'll just come down the stairs.
Give me 30 minutes, I'll be down.
All right. Oh, yeah, right. It's very convenient.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful. I'm very thankful for it's been a lot of work, but I'm thankful for
Yeah.
it. It's been really fun and weird. And you meet people like yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And even having people reach out on the internet like you did that you don't know, it's like an honor. Like, oh, someone's interested in what I do. Like that means a lot. So thank you. I
You're
appreciate it. Is there anything else you would like to talk about or promote? I mean,
So I did remember that show.
Yes.
It's at Subterranean.
oh, Subterranean.
Yeah.
Nice. Is it upstairs or downstairs?
That I don't know.
Upstairs is like a bigger stage. Downstairs is smaller.
Oh,
I've
okay.
played both. They're both cool.
Cool.
But upstairs is more like the venue.
Okay.
Downstairs is smaller.
More smaller event.
Yeah. Might hold 150 people downstairs. Upstairs might be like 300.
Cool.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a cool spot though. I'll after this, maybe later sometime soon, I'll send you a list of a ton of venues
Cool.
to check out.
Yeah.
I have like every venue and email written down in the city.
Oh, cool.
that
Cool.
I just have been building over years.
Yeah.
And I send it to people. I'm like, you should just reach out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't have a direct connection to the booking agent,
Right.
but if I give you the email and the spot,
I definitely
you
would
could,
appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, interesting.
Yeah.
What are your experiences right now on the other side?
On.
In this experience right now.
It was an amazing experience. Yeah. An amazing experience. We touched like all type of topics. Fun. Definitely fun. And this was my first time, so.
Right, your first
Yeah.
podcast, right? I've done
Yeah.
hundreds. I'm
Pro at it.
Pro at it. I mean, I've definitely learned how to just talk.
Yeah.
People are just people.
Yeah.
Famous or not, doesn't matter. Creed, religion, financial
Yeah.
background, man, woman, black, white.
Yeah.
People are just people, man.
Yeah.
Just want to be happy.
I agree.
You want to live.
I agree.
You want to see your loved one succeed. You don't want to die.
Yeah.
You want to be, fruitful in what you do and enjoy things. And
Yeah.
once you realize that, I don't know why other people don't know this.
Yeah.
When you hear about an old person or someone who truly is like sexist or racist or doesn't like someone because they're Muslim, you're like, so sad. Like
Yeah.
you're stifling life.
Yeah.
You have no idea how rich this life could be if you just open up.
Yeah. And those are such minor things in life to like dislike a person about.
Yeah.
Like I can't really get it, but
I don't get it. I've never understood it. Like
yeah.
I never understood any of those things. And then once I learned where it came from in college, like the history
Yeah.
of racism, of sexism, of different religious xenophobia,
Yeah.
religions, I'm like, wait, it's so simple. Like, first of all, we're only the skin color because of where we were angled to the
Yeah.
sun, geographical placement.
Yeah.
For like a couple hundred years, a couple thousand. It's
Yeah.
like not crazy.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, scientifically
does.
speaking. And then the religions, same thing. Why is it in that location? Well, we're only Christian because this, and that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm, half European, half Mexican. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm Christian.
Right.
Like, you know how Christianity even got to those places.
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious, but I guess that's when you learn, when
Yeah.
you educate yourself, when you're open.
Yeah.
You don't even have to go to college to know these things. If you just open up your head
Yeah.
and your mind and you listen and you talk and you realize, like, oh, it's not as I mean, things are complicated, but when you lay it out, like, it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
Like, how we got to who we are. And it's just sad when people don't realize that.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm going to tell you, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Have you noticed like a change from when you were a kid to now with society and how they're treating race?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say it's more out in the open more. And I noticed that there's more coverage on it. Like I would say as a child, like you would see the things, but like it wasn't really talked about. I would even say like within like the black community, sometimes there was things that like weren't talked about, like you would see, but you wouldn't really speak on it.
Can you give like an example?
Like the police thing sometimes,
Okay.
like we knew of that, but it wasn't really like discussed.
It just got normalized.
Yeah, it got
You're like,
normalized, yeah.
Cops are on. Everyone like be as cool as a
Right.
cucumber because God only knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Like I remember one time I got stopped for like my tents and the cop was like, "Oh, your tents are almost illegal." And I was like, "So they're legal?" And he's like, "Yeah, but they're almost illegal." I was like, "So am I good to go?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're good to go." And I was like,
That's like getting drunk the day of your birthday.
yeah.
And they're like, well, you were almost illegally drinking. You're like, yeah. The law has defined lines for a reason. You can't
Yeah.
almost be anything. Like
Right.
you either are or you're not.
Yeah.
Like if you were 20 and 364 days and you're one day away
Yeah.
from being 21, you got drunk, you'd be like, oh, sorry, I gotta give you a ticket. You're almost legal.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the way you word it. Yeah, it's just petty stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a complicated one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of any experiences like that with police?
I would say yes. Like I had a lot of like small nitpicky type stuff. Nothing major, but like nitpicky. Like
Right.
I remember one time I got stopped like for speeding, and he pulled me over and was like, "I need to check your whole entire car." And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead," And so like he was acting as if like I did something wrong. It was only I was maybe speeding like 10 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah, normal stuff.
Normal stuff. And he like checked the whole entire car as if like I had like guns and drugs in the car. He found nothing, but Yeah.
Did he feel stupid?
Yeah, he did. And I, like, people was like, oh, you shouldn't have never let him check because he could have, like, planted something. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I wanted to let him check so that way he can
could
feel stupid. Yeah.
Not just feel stupid, but maybe slowly realize, like, oh, not everybody
Right.
that is a certain color is bad. Like,
Yeah.
you can help someone, like, if they're hopefully smart enough to self-analyze and educate themselves through experience, like, oh, I'm making mistakes by doing this. I
Yeah.
should probably stop doing this. And you might, like, I don't know. I mean, I used to look really wild when I was a teenager. My beard was really long and out of control, hair really long. I used to wear, like, really wild clothes. But I always had a really clean car, inside and out. So I'd get pulled over a lot because I speed a lot. And they would do the same thing. And be like, because I just looked like a degenerate teenager, you know? And they'd be like, we need to search your car. I'm like, oh my God.
Here we go again.
And I'd be like, all right, fine, go ahead. I'd laugh, like, go right ahead. And they couldn't even find a crumb. Like, I would really have an immaculate car. And they would just look at me like, I looked like I had just had 10 pounds of weed hidden in, like, my spare tires, and I had nothing. And they're just like, all right, I guess you're free to go. And they'd do a backhanded thing like, well, next time, like, what? Next time what? I don't travel with drugs. I don't even do drugs at that time I didn't. And I'm like, I don't use knives. I don't have weapons. I don't fight. Like, you have nothing. But because I look kind of like a degenerate at the time, you're going to, like, try to find me on something. And how I know this is true, and you probably experienced this, every woman I know, man, they get away every time. They cry. They look extra cute.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
That's...
Oh, you're right.
I've seen a situation.
I didn't know. Just crying. You're like, what? Of course you knew. The speed limit says 35, and you're going 55. I think you know math. You knew. You're lying, but they don't want to give a screaming, crying person a ticket.
I seen a situation where me and her was in the car, and the cop stopped her. I forgot for what reason, but he came up to the car, and she was like, I think he said she was speeding or something. And she's like, no, I'm not speeding. Like, and then he's like, look, I'm not giving you a ticket. You're fine. Just relax.
Was it like this? Was she like, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then as soon as he walked away, she starts smiling like,
Yeah.
I got him again. That's like 20th time I got away with a ticket.
Yep.
I know. I can't sit there hyperventilate. Like, I just go like, yeah, I was going 80 and then 55. Here's my driver. And when you do give full transparency, you might still get a ticket, but they won't give you the worst ticket.
Yeah.
They might be like, all right, I'll give you like the lowest one.
Yeah.
Like, go to safety traffic school and it'll be off your record. I'm like, fine. Or as of lately, I've gotten warnings. I never got those before. Like the last 4, I've been pulled over so many times, like 20 times probably, maybe more.
Yeah.
And the last like 4 times, they just gave me warnings. I was like, am I getting older? Or do I have like a nicer, like, what's happening? And I realized I have shorter haircut. I trim my beard. I have nicer glasses. I wear nicer clothes. I tuck my shirt in. I have a more modern car that's clean, not an old, like a 1990 Oldsmobile, but a 2015 Honda Civic. And I'm like, man, just all these little things. Same person. Same laws I'm breaking. But because I look and act and hold myself up differently, they just like let you go.
That's 100% true. Because my last car was like, I had it like a Batmobile. So it was like blacked out with the black rims, the black tint. And I would always get stopped in that car. Now, my current car is like a more typical vehicle, and I never get stopped in it. Like,
Yeah, the car you drove here? Yeah, the way it's so many things, and I hate it because it can inhibit you from being yourself. But our parents were kind of right about something. They'd always kind of prep you as a kid, like, stand upright and dress, like, cut your hair, and when are you going to shave, and don't get tattoos, where people can see it. And I personally don't care if people do any of that stuff. I'm not a good person to talk about this. I'm like, do whatever you want. I have 2 rules, like, don't hurt anybody, and, like, I guess that's one rule. Don't hurt anybody. Do whatever else you want. I don't care. But it's true the way society looks at it. If you change all those things, but you're the same person, same mentality, you just get away with stuff. It's why some of the most vicious and ruthless people hide in plain sight. Killers, certain politicians, people in high-powered positions, because they have a nice, $1,500 suit. They drive a Mercedes-Benz. They have money in the bank, so therefore they must be okay. It's like, no, some of these people are awful. How do they get that money? Who have they been exploiting at their company?
True.
And they hide in plain sight, and no one does anything about it. But then you get someone who grew up low income, can't afford good clothes, can't afford a nice car, and they get crapped on time and time again.
And they could be the nicest people.
They could be just fine.
Yeah.
And it's the whole problem with racism in this country. I don't know what to explain. But it comes from those things. It's like, I was just reading this book today. I just finished it, called Corruptible, Who Gets Power and How They Hold It, or something like that. It's a subtext. Great book, super depressing. I've been trying to read a lot of books like that to learn more. Yeah. Going into the world I'm going in, I want to be a better person, better leader, more understanding. And I'm reading it, and apparently white-collar crime has been responsible for up to, I believe they said, around $300 billion in damage a year. Wow. And petty crime, like street crime, burglaries, robberies, arson, theft, $17 billion. Wow. So the petty crime that the news, society, and everyone focuses on and get mad about, $17 billion, which is a lot. Yeah. But nothing compared to $300 billion, which, I mean, that's crazy. If my math's correct, that's like, what, 25 times more? You know, like, that's insane. Yeah, it is. Not 25, maybe like 20 times more. It's a lot. It's bad. Yeah. So it's the scope of things. It's the lenses we put on, because people have money and nice cars and they live in a high rise. We all know, like, they're up to some shady stuff. They're like, whatever. Like, they're upstanding. They pay their taxes, even though they avoid paying their taxes a lot. But then people who are just trying to get by and live a very hard life just get destroyed. Yeah. By the government, by society, by police, by everything. And I agree. It's just so bizarre. Yeah. It's so bizarre, and I don't get it. I'm trying to do something about it, but I don't understand how people don't see this. It's so obvious.
It is. You know? It is.
What do you think? What should we do? What are thoughts?
I think it's kind of hard. Like,
you're like, I don't have an answer for that.
Like you said, some of the most shadiest people like hide within those big corporations.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is we need those big corporations to survive. So it's kind of like,
it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
It's an enigma. It's like, we need, so in order for people to hear this conversation right now, we need Spotify and Apple and YouTube and Google and Pandora and Amazon. Right. We need the big, 5 tech companies in order for people to hear this as we talk crap about those companies. And it's like, it is a catch-22. It definitely starts somewhere. It starts slow. I think it starts from people. Yeah. It starts from a mindset. You get people to think about it, enough talking about it, that group gets bigger. Yeah. Eventually, our kids or our friends get into those positions, or they're the politician or a policymaker or a boss or an alderman. And it starts to shift there. But I think just talking about it is actually where it starts. Yeah. If you don't talk about it, it just stays in your head, and then the world doesn't know, and then it stops. You die with it. It dies with you. Yeah. So having conversations, that's where I think podcasts thrive. Putting art out there more and promoting it. It's what I'd like to do. Yeah. It's a win-win. I promote you, you promote me. Yeah. It's like it's symbiotic. We grow together. Yeah. And that's what I really like about the art community. Yeah. Although it can get cutthroat. Right?
I agree.
Have you dealt with some cutthroat stuff? I know you have.
I would say not so much, but I have seen it done around me.
Okay. Yeah. You're aware of it.
Yeah.
Well, you're lucky if it hasn't happened to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you do enough for long enough, stuff's going to happen. Yeah. You can't avoid it. But it's about perspective and the mindset. Say you do 1,000 things and 3 of them go horribly wrong. It's like you still got a 99.7% on it. Yeah. It's not the worst grade to get. It's just you can't help but focus on the few bad things. Yeah. Because it turns out if you're trying to do really good things and some bad thing happens, those bad things are really bad.
I agree.
When there's like some falling out with people and stuff, it's like catastrophic. You're like, and you can't help but think about it. Because if you're just trying to be a good person, an artist, and something goes wrong, it's because something really went wrong. Yeah. It's not like a mediocre middle ground of like, they just don't like me. It's like, no, like this person's doing this, or they're stalking me, or they hate me, they're talking bad about me on blogs, like things like that. Yeah.
I agree.
But it just comes with it.
Yeah.
The more people know about you, the more people know about you.
Yep.
And there's some nasty byproducts of being popular,
Yeah.
So, did that ever happen to you? Anybody talk crap about you find out, and you're like, oh, no.
I would say, because I'm very chilled. Yeah. So, most of the people that I come across are normally good people. Yeah. Because, I kind of fill them out before, I meet them. So, I'm like, okay. Like, for instance, I seen that you were, a really cool guy. So, I'm like,
oh,
he's cool. I don't mind doing a nice little sit down podcast, or let's say like my engineer, really cool guy, like don't mind like sitting up with him and recording music. So I really don't have those awkward meetings too much because like I'm like very particular like who I'm with.
Absolutely. Yeah. I try to do that, but man, you never know.
Yeah.
It's hard. I have enough content out there where someone could probably vet me very easily.
Yeah.
You could just Google it and find a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You can even look at like my job at the university. There's things that you can find out about me. So it's easier. But when it's somebody I don't know, I'm like, well, luckily
Give it a chance.
I'm used to just meeting random people every day. So I'm like, whatever. I don't.
True, because like from your perspective, I could have came here and been like a jerk or something, you know?
I'm like, well, I guess this is going to be an interesting podcast. I'll find a way to have fun with anything when it comes to a conversation, a podcast, a client, a date. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just a person. Even if we end up never talking again, not you in this situation, but in that situation, I'm like, whatever. For the hour or 2 or 3 we're together, I'm going to try to learn.
Right.
Try to educate you. You educate me.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. We might end up not enjoying each other at all. But I think at the end of the day, you still can. If you really open up and you listen to a person, you can enjoy somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Cool.
I agree.
So anything else you want to promote, Aspen?
My new EP, Pastel Dreams.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did that come out already?
It's actually coming out June.
Perfect. Do you know what date in June?
I kind of was like surprising a little bit.
okay.
I got a couple little surprises in the works.
You don't, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this will be out probably in 2 weeks. So it might be around the same time.
Yeah.
So new EP of a date. So was it September 10th?
Yes.
Subterranean, Chicago.
Yes.
Anything else?
Those are my main things
Where
now.
can people find you?
So people can find me on all of the streaming services. I'm on every single
Everything.
one. Yeah.
Instagram. What would you be on Instagram? What's your handle?
It's Aspen_Noah.
Noah.
Yeah.
And then Facebook, similar thing.
Not on Facebook. Not on
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah. I kind of got to like go back to Facebook, but I am on like TikTok and Instagram.
What's your TikTok?
The same thing, Aspen_Noah. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Aspen, I had a really good time talking with you.
Same.
Thank you for coming out here and sharing your story and everything you do. I appreciate your art and what you do for a living. We need people that do what you do, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And take care and best of luck with all your creative endeavors.
You as well.
All right.